This is the Patriots Prayer Network, where truth matters.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine, the host of Alexandra 360. A week ago today, President Trump won the presidency. He is going back into the White House. President Trump won by a landslide with 312 electoral votes, and we'll post that right now. And he also won the popular vote by 5 million votes. That's right. President Trump elected the 47th president of the United States. He's going back into that White House. And again, he won with a landslide of 312 electoral votes. There you go. Nice sweep there. And the popular vote by 5 million votes. The Republicans also took back the United States Senate, gaining 3 new seats. We flipped Pennsylvania, Montana, and Ohio. Congressman Jim Banks of Indiana, he became the senator of Indiana. And look, that's what is going back into the White House, our beautiful First Lady Melania Trump and President Donald Trump. Look how gorgeous she is. And just on a side note, I'm curious to see which designers are going to design Melania Trump's dresses, because there was a lot of designers in 2017 that refused to dress the First Lady of the United States. So I'm curious to see if Marc Jacobs this time will design clothing for Melania Trump. But again, we retook back the United States Senate. The Republicans did. We kept control of the House of Representatives. They just announced it last night at 7:30. As you know, there was counting of all these different seats. There was talk that the Democrats were trying to take back the House of Representatives, but President Trump was very confident that we would have what we call the trifecta. Now we have a Republican president, we have a Republican House of Representatives, we have a Republican United States Senate. Now President Trump can get the job done. He will work with the proper people to get the job done. And we have 2 solid years now of getting legislation done for we the people. I applaud we the people for voting for President Trump. I've talked to a lot of independents and Democrats that voted for President Trump. I thank the Jewish Americans for voting for President Trump. President Trump had a big influx of the Jewish Americans this time around, especially in states like New York, Arizona, Nevada, and Florida. So I thank the Jewish Americans for voting for President Trump, for hashtag Jexiting the Democrat Party and never looking back. President Trump had a big influx of the African American community as well as the Hispanic community and other minorities nationwide. So I thank all the voters who voted for President Trump. Now, President Trump is visiting Capitol Hill on Wednesday. That's going to be a big deal. But we also have another big deal. We have voting of the Senate Majority Leader, who is going to be the new Senate Majority Leader. Right now, we have 3 men that are trying to be the Senate Majority Leader. We have Senator John Thune of South Dakota, Senator John Cornyn of Texas, and my senator, Senator Rick Scott of the state of Florida. And that's really, really important. I love my senator. I've worked with my senator. My senator was also the governor of Florida before Ron DeSantis. He did a great job as governor as well. And he is the America First agenda guy that we need to push the agenda forward, to make sure that that things get passed in the Senate, but also to make sure that the appointments that President Trump is putting through, it doesn't take 2 or 3 years to get through. And Senator Rick Scott actually retweeted, or retruthed, I should say, President Trump and said, I will be that Senate Majority Leader that will get your appointments through and get them fast and efficient for we the people. So I fully endorse and support my senator. I encourage everybody to call their senators to push them to vote for Senator Rick Scott. But it's very interesting. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin said that they should delay the Senate majority vote because President Trump is coming tomorrow. And as we know, President Trump has a huge influence on the senators, on the House of Representatives. And I know that President Trump wants Senator Rick Scott as the Senate majority leader. So President Trump comes tomorrow, maybe he can kind of persuade a few senators to vote for Rick Scott and also to, just tell them, we the people voted for the America First agenda, the America First way. And I need to remind the senators, because there's senators out there that are saying, we're tired of the social media. We're tired of, we the people trying to influence, the vote. And it's a secret ballot, by the way, which is ridiculous. It should be open ballot. It shouldn't be in secret. But again, we the people voted for the America First agenda. So why not put an America First agenda senator in there as the Senate majority leader? Again, you guys work for us, not the other way around. And, Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Josh Hawley, who are thinking of not voting for my senator, let me remind you, Senator Ted Cruz and Senator Josh Hawley, that America First people voted for you to be reelected. Senator Ted Cruz, your reelection race was very, very tight. Very, very tight. But because of President Trump and the overwhelming support for him in your great state of Texas, he carried you over. Josh Hawley, same thing. You had America First people that voted for you for reelection. Senator Marsha Blackburn, you just won reelection, and you put on Twitter that you will vote for the senator that represents we the people, that is good for the people, but you didn't say a name. Please, you know that Senator Rick Scott is your guy. You know that he supports President Trump and his agenda. You support President Trump and his agenda. And again, Senator Marsha Blackburn, the constituents that voted for you are America First agenda people. So again, senators, you need to listen to your constituents. Again, you work for us, and you need to put the person in there that believes in America and that wants to push President Trump's agenda forward. We can't have a Mitch McConnell light in there, and John Thune and Senator Cornyn are Mitch McConnell lights. Senator John Thune feels that he's entitled because he's the number 2 guy to Mitch McConnell. And reports are showing, and Laura Loomer put this out, that Senator John Thune's daughter actually created a PAC for anti-Trump Democrats. Is that what you want as your Senate majority leader? Someone whose daughter vehemently created a PAC against Republicans and was promoting anti-Trump Democrats? It kind of reminds me of Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, Ella Emroff. Ella Emroff was actually donating and giving money to UNRWA, which was responsible for October 7th. We don't need people like that as our Senate majority leader. We don't need people like that in office. That's why we the people didn't vote for Kamala Harris. We the people voted for Senator Rick Scott to be reelected in Florida heavily, by the way. Senator Marsha Blackburn to be reelected. Senator Ted Cruz, the American people, we the people, America First people saved your butt and got you reelected. And all of the other incumbent Republican senators really need to step it up and vote the right way. So I'm very happy that President Trump is coming tomorrow. Hopefully there will be a delay. Hopefully Senator Ron Johnson's push for the delay will work and it'll be delayed. That would be great. But today and even tonight, and as we're going here, and you can all look at Real Donald Trump's Truth Social, because that is where you will find the real appointments that President Trump and his transition team are putting together. If you're not sure if this is correct or that's correct, or if President Trump has this person on his team or that person on his team, please go to @RealDonaldTrump at Truth Social and you can read it. So right now, today and tonight and yesterday, so President Trump, he nominated and appointed Mike Waltz as his NSA director. NSA directors do not have to go through a Senate committee. They're automatically appointed. So that was a big one. Steve Witkoff was appointed as special envoy to the Middle East. That's a big one. Pete Hegseth, who, as we know, is on Fox News and Fox Business. He was just appointed as the Secretary of Defense. That's a big one. As we know, Pete Hegseth served our nation. I like Pete Hegseth personally. I've met him personally. He's a great guy. I've talked to him many times. And then this was the big one. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to run the Department of Government Efficiency, which means cutting the waste in Washington, cutting the waste in government, that means no government control, literally draining the swamp. It's going to be what President Trump said, quote, the Manhattan Project of our time. There's a really big honor that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy got today. Also, as we know, Susan Summerall Wiles is the daughter of former Pat Summerall, who was a huge football player and a huge broadcaster. She is President Trump's chief of staff. There's reports that Stephen Miller, who's a part of the American Policy Legal, will possibly be the deputy chief of staff, but that has not been confirmed. That's not on Truth Social yet. President Trump also said he's not going to have Nikki Haley or Mike Pompeo in his administration at all. I think that's a great idea. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York, who I've met personally, she was at a Virginia Trump rally. It was a rally for women in Virginia. President Trump appointed her as the ambassador to the United Nations. That is perfect for her. Elise Stefanik is extremely pro-Israel. She was the one that combated the presidents and the deans of these universities that were having these Gaza encampments, and we're not following the student code of conduct. So I think that appointment is phenomenal. My friend Thomas Homan, who was the former ICE director under Obama and Trump, he is now the border czar, and we know that he is going to come in there and he's just going to clean out all the illegals. He's going to get rid of all the drug cartels. As we know, there's a lot of fentanyl happening in our country that we need to dissect and remove. And we're going to do things the right way. Law and order on our border, law and order, and we're going to continue to build the wall. And also confirmation tonight, officially confirmation, President Trump appointed Kristi Noem as the DHS secretary. So Kristi Noem and Thomas Homan will be working side by side together to clean our border, to get these illegals out of here that are detrimental to our nation. There's illegal Afghan, illegal Syrian refugees here in this country, illegal terrorists in our country that are killing innocent American lives. And we finally have people in there now that President Trump is going to put to cut the mess, to clean the mess, to get rid of the mess. And it's about time. It's about time. Also, something near and dear to my heart, former Governor Mike Huckabee has been appointed as ambassador to Israel. That is a huge, huge appointment. This man, Mike Huckabee, has been to Israel so many times. He loves Israel. He loves the Jewish people. And I've always said, as someone who's a part of the Jexit organization, we need our Christian brothers and sisters to work with us. Mike Huckabee is Christian. But now we can have beautiful unity between Christians and Jews and other religions coming together. And Mike Huckabee, as you know, he's a big proponent of he was a big advocate for the move of the embassy. He will work with President Trump to continue what they call the Abraham Accords with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. And it's going to be great. And a lot of big names in the Jewish community, they're very happy with this appointment. And also big organizations such as the Republican Jewish Coalition, Zionist Organization of America, my organization, Jexit Inc. We are all very happy and proud that President Trump picked former governor of Arkansas, Mike Huckabee, as the ambassador to Israel. Those are really big appointments today. Also, former Congressman Lee Zeldin, who's also Jewish, was appointed the head of the EPA administration. He's going to work on the auto industry and artificial intelligence advancement. That's a very big appointment as well. Also, William Joseph McGinley is going to serve as President Trump's White House counsel. He was President Trump's White House cabinet secretary in 2017. That's also a very big appointment. And that's it so far. There has been talk, of course, of my other senator in Florida, Marco Rubio, being the Secretary of State, but it hasn't been confirmed under Truth Social. And I'm going to talk about that later with my guest coming up. I think one of the moves of that is my governor, Ron DeSantis, is going to be leaving in 2 years. He's term limited. Where's Governor Ron DeSantis going to go? I don't think he's going to run for president anytime soon. So where's he going to go? There's talks that Governor DeSantis may appoint himself as senator and run for senator and win. We'll see. Then there was talks of Congressman Matt Gaetz running for senator now. So we'll see. But it has not been confirmed unless on this live, President Trump puts it out there that Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State. He has not currently put it out there yet. But that would be a very big appointment. Also, another big one that I forgot to mention is former Congressman John Radcliffe of Texas is now been appointed the CIA director. That is huge. That is huge. As we know, John Radcliffe was the former DNI director under Trump. I mean, just exposed, Russiagate, and he exposed all of this corruption that's going on in our government. That's going to be huge. The next question is, where is Kash Patel going? And where is former Congressman Devin Nunes going? Devin Nunes, of course, runs Truth Social, but we'll see what happens after that. So these are some really big appointments, some really big things that are coming. And I want comments from my viewers. Do you like the appointments that President Trump has put out so far? Is there anyone in particular that you want President Trump to appoint? Where do you think Kash Patel is going to go? Where do you think Devin Nunes is going to go? Also, where's Rick Grenell going to go? Rick Grenell was the former ambassador to Germany. He was also the acting DNI director. I love Rick Grenell. He's a personal friend of mine. He's done a lot for Israel. He was a part of the Abraham Accords. So where's Rick Grenell going to go? Also, where is Matt Whitaker going to go? Matt Whitaker was acting attorney general for a while. Where is he going to go? Is he going to be the deputy attorney general? And who is going to be President Trump's attorney general? Also, where's Peter Navarro going to go? You know that Peter Navarro is coming back into the White House. So we're going to answer all of those questions coming up. I have a great guest, elected official in Baltimore County, Tim Fazenbaker, is coming up right after this break.
Born in the coastal plains of South Texas, Smoking Gun Coffee is founded by combat veterans that know exactly what a cup of coffee needs to taste like. Run by father and son, each coffee bean is perfected, roasted at 500 degrees, and cooled with a Gulf Coast breeze. Smoking Gun Coffee hand makes and bags each ounce of coffee for maximum customer satisfaction. With every purchase, 10% goes back to organizations that help veterans and local communities. That's Texas made, one bag at a time. To find out more, go to www.smokingguncoffee.com.
America faces challenges like never before. Economic uncertainty, social unrest, debt implosion. The foundations of our freedom are under attack. To restore strength, prosperity, and the American way of life, Trump must win.
I plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world.
Introducing the Trump token, blending the deflationary model of Bitcoin with the technological advancement of Solana. It's more than just a cryptocurrency. It's America's future medium of exchange. The Trump token pledges to donate 50% of proceeds, up to $50 million, to Trump's 2024 re-election campaign. Join the movement. Stand with Trump. Secure your future at thetrumptoken.com.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexandra Levine with Alexandra 360. Again, go to smokinggun.com. Go to the coffee club, hit Alexandra 360. You can get a medium roast or a dark roast. I say the best part of waking up is Alexandra 360 in your cup. Now, I have a wonderful guest. He was actually my first guest or my first show here on the Patriots Prayer Network. He is elected official Tim Fazenbaker in Baltimore County. There he is. And I'm so happy to have him on. I want to say I wore the Baltimore Orioles colors tonight in honor of him. The Baltimore Orioles colors is orange and black. So I wore that on behalf of Baltimore County, on behalf of the Baltimore Orioles, on behalf of my guest tonight. So let's bring him on. Hello.
Hey. How you doing?
How are you?
Doing great. Looking good in the Oriole orange, which
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. Great. So thanks for coming on again. You were my very first guest on my very first show. So it is an honor to have you on again.
It's great to be here.
I mean, there's so much to talk about. Victory. Trump won. What were your thoughts about that?
I think the writing was on the wall that it was going to be a larger win for Trump, but most people didn't want to just believe that because we've seen irregularities, we'll say, happen in the past, especially with 2020. I was cautiously optimistic. I was very happy. I kept waiting for the man behind the scenes to end up making some kind of trick where you end up getting all these new ballots coming in the middle of the night or the next couple of days. And, right before coming on air, I just saw something about Michigan found another 28,000 ballots or something. I don't know anything about it, but this stuff always happens. So ultimately I felt, I've been riding a high all week, like a lot of people have, more than half the country will say. But I was still cautious because you just don't know what's going to happen with our elections. And that's the sad thing about the nature of this, is that people don't completely believe in the integrity of our elections. And that is paramount to us being a nation that can unite, is we need to believe in the elections. We can move forward if the other side, if their people win, as long as we feel that it was a fair outcome. Just that's not always the case. But ultimately, extremely happy right now.
Awesome. Now, as you know, President Trump is now, forming his army, his transition team right now. He's got some big appointments that he put out today. And as you know, a few days ago, President Trump said, I hired some really bad actors in 2016. I didn't have the right people around me. And now he's bringing some of the most loyal people to him to work for him, such as Susan Summerall Wiles as his chief of staff. He just hired John Radcliffe as his CIA director. He appointed him. What do you think about the direction that President Trump is going with his transition team right now, with the cabinet picks that he's picking now?
Yeah, one of my I would say issues, I guess, with President Trump in the very beginning was that he didn't clean house the way that some of us on the inside believed that he really should have cleaned out. There were people that were still being there and advising him that we knew were trouble. There were candidates that he was backing as well that we knew were grifters, and they were trouble as well. And he, being successful in his life, I think he learned from those mistakes, and he said it, that he made those bad decisions. The issue, I think, at the time, though, was he said from day one that he would hire the best people, and he didn't. Now it seems like, yes, he's learning and he's taking advice from the right people, and he's bringing in the right crowd. The one example I'll give is Tom Homan. So some people are just learning who he is, and obviously some people know who he is from before. He's the type of person that we want to run that border, to get the fentanyl stopped coming into this country, to actually enforce what we want, which is to have a real border and have people come in legally, not illegally. Tom is, he's one of those guys that you can have a beer with. You just believe that this is the type of person that will do the job that the American people want him to do. And we met Tom personally, years ago, when he was doing things that people don't even realize. Like, we had a We Back Blue march, and I think it was in Northern Virginia, maybe at that time, and Tom was there, and we got to meet him and talk to him. And he wasn't a celebrity; like, not many people really knew who he was, even though he's been in the public light. But these are the type of people that myself know personally, and know that I know that these are the type of people that I would want in these positions. So I think President Trump is doing the right things right now and bringing in the right people. Time will tell if it's all going to work out, because he still has to deal with Congress, and the Senate and things like that. And he's still going to have to deal with the press and the left, because they're not going to go away. There's going to be an element that's still going to fight him. But ultimately, I'm very happy with the direction things are moving so far at this point, much more than I was in the beginning of 2016.
Well, let's bring up the point that I said earlier about the Senate Majority Leader. That's huge. The big rhino, Mitch McConnell, who we know pumped a lot of money into Larry Hogan, who was running for senator in your state. He stepped down. He's stepping down, but he's pushing so hard now to get his replacement. And of course, he's pushing his number 2 guy, John Thune. He's pushing John Cornyn. But we have my senator, Rick Scott, who's the America First guy, who's the guy that Trump wants. And Rick Scott is a businessman. He's a billionaire businessman. And I saw him put jobs together when I worked under him. And the fact that the Senate Republicans, a majority of them, are not going with who we the people want is asinine to me. What is your thoughts on that?
So, being a constitutionalist and traditionalist in a sense, I understand the Senate has its rules and Robert's Rules of Order and things like that, that the Senate is supposed to be the upper chamber, and it is supposed to be more distant from the people than, say, the House of Representatives. I completely understand that. At this point, though, this country has turned left and in a destructive way for so long and done so much. The American people have spoken, and they've given They've given President Trump a mandate to say, this is what we want. And the Senate needs to understand that. So at this point, we're basically saying, you put in somebody in the Senate to run that Senate that we want as well, like Senator Rick Scott, somebody that will implement President Trump's policies that we want. We don't want a checks and balance system at this point. We want Trump to go do what we want. And if we have people that are in this, what we call uniparty, meaning it doesn't matter what party they're in, they're just in their own little circle of taking care of themselves, the elite, the hobnobs. So those people are the ones that are very problematic. And even you're seeing now with the far left, with the AOC crowd and stuff, they're talking about the uniparty. They're people that they believe that are establishment, that coincide and get along with Mitch McConnell's and the Thunes of the world. They're just one group of people that keep the what they consider the extremes away from making influence. So you have people on the far right, or the libertarians on the right-hand side, constitutionalists like myself. You have people on the far left who are more socialist, Marxist. We have that one thing in common. Well, we have a couple things in common. One, we're all Americans, no matter what. And I have a cat that's going by me right now. And then we have.
You have two cats, right, Tim? I think you have two cats now.
Right now.
Well, I was going to say, Tim, you don't have to hide your cats and hide your dogs anymore because Trump won.
That's true. They're eating the dogs. They're eating.
That's the best song ever. Best song ever.
Now they're cats. So, but you see, but basically, the American people want President Trump's agenda, which is our agenda. So I don't want to say it's just President Trump's agenda. It's our agenda. Right. President Trump, listen to us. We want that agenda enacted and moved forward. So keep calling Congress, and you keep telling them, and you tell Mitch McConnell in his geriatric state that we've all seen and his resistance to our movement, tell them, no, we are still the government. You may have rules and history that you follow, but this is more important to us because this is life or death for many people, because this country's been going in the wrong direction for so long that we need to implement our policy and our direction at this time.
Well, Tim, do you agree with Senator Ron Johnson, Wisconsin? We should delay the vote because President Trump is coming to Capitol Hill tomorrow?
I do agree that it should be delayed. I think, and many people will see that this whole thing has been orchestrated to thwart our movement and to try to make it harder for President Trump to enact his things. As a matter of fact, I heard Paul Ryan today. I heard a clip, and he was talking about how Trump will make sure that we lose everything in 2024. And you think about in the beginning of 2016, he was the person one of the people undermining President Trump in the very beginning. Yeah. And same thing with Mitch McConnell, who just will keep thwarting things. And I think at this point, I kind of look at McConnell like Biden. He's maybe he's not making these decisions. His handlers are, and they are going to do everything they can to stop the movement of the people. And again, be back into their circle of their elites and their lords. And they're going to continue to try to do things because they think they know what's best. And they think they have to lead and control us peasants. But we won't stand for it. And we have our mandate, and we will continue to apply pressure. And if we don't get our way, we're going to make things much more complicated for them and harder for them. And we will find a way to make sure that we get what we want.
I 100% agree with you. Now, you're an elected official in Baltimore County. I kind of want you to talk about that. How are you, Tim, moving your agenda forward in your county and in your state?
So I live in Maryland, of course, which is probably the bluest state, probably even more than California or Maryland at this time. I do believe that President Trump lost Maryland probably by percentage-wise, more than any other state in the union, besides D.C., which isn't a state. But the efforts here are very uphill. And that's because we have the D.C. Establishment that has moved here, and same thing with Northern Virginia, and it becomes entrenched. And when you do look at the results, say for just D.C. that night, I think Harris probably got 94%, and Trump maybe got 6, somewhere around there. That indication that the people that are in the government the government heads, they tend to be against the people. So you had that filtering in Northern Virginia and into Maryland. So Maryland has been going blue since I've been a kid. Last time Maryland voted red was 1984 with President Reagan at the time, which every state went red except for one at that time. But in Baltimore County, we're facing the same thing, where it used to be a red county years and years ago, and it's been moving more and more blue because of gentrification and liberal policies. And you have the same thing, even with our own state party and our county Republican parties. They're more of a uniparty. They don't stand for the bold visions. They're more pale pastels. They try to morph into, well, let's just get along with the Democrats. And I saw it personally last night in one meeting, where you have people that they won't admit that we got destroyed in all our local races. We lost everything. Their savior, Larry Hogan, who's the only Republican who could win in Maryland, got crushed.
You mean the federal races, Tim? You mean the federal races, not the local races? Yeah,
yes, correct. Well, Hogan just got crushed here. All our Senate candidates got crushed, lost. They underperformed. I mean, and it's
congressional candidates.
Yes, it's evident that the party in this state doesn't really care, because the party is, my cat walks by again, the party is just concerned with themselves. They all gave themselves a pat on the back when President Trump won, but they didn't acknowledge that they lost everything within the state. And they didn't help any of the very local down ballot races where the few more conservative people did win. But the party will try to take credit for what President Trump did, and the President Trump effect happened across the country. I believe about 4% of Marylanders voted more for Trump this time than in 2020. And they were taking credit for that, to say that, hey, look, we did efforts that made President Trump get 4% more. Well, President Trump got about 4% more across the entire country. So I don't think the local parties are doing much, at least in our state, are doing much to really move the needle for President Trump. President Trump moved the needle for Maryland and the local parties. So it's an uphill battle, but it's one that we are going to fight, one that is going to become very, very prominent in the forefront soon, because people remember the Key Bridge disaster that happened right outside my window, because I live right on the water here. That's going to be coming back into play, because where's that federal money coming in, and who's paying for it? I think you're going to see President Trump step in eventually, and this will become front page news again with what's going to happen here in this state. And it'll be a good test, because you have a very blue state that's going to want more handouts, and you're going to have President Trump saying, well, what's going on here with the Key Bridge in Maryland? We're going to find out soon, and everybody can count on me that I will be working alongside President Trump to make sure that we move at the best we can in a blue state, and hopefully one day get this state moving in the right direction.
Well, I thank you for saying that too. And I just want to make the point to my viewers that you are astronomical in making sure that horrendous water from East Palestine, Ohio, didn't come into Baltimore, didn't come into Back River. I know that you were on the forefront of that. You've been an environmentalist. You've worked in environmental plants for many years. And I thank you for that. And I know the people of Maryland thank you for that. Because of you and your efforts, that disgusting, dirty water didn't come to Back River. And we all know about Back River. And the sanitation plant, everything needs to be destroyed. And you can smell Back River, down the corridor. Down I'm 695. You can smell it all the way down there. The smell just gets worse and worse and worse. And we know that there's some issues in Back River that need to be investigated. And I know that you and I have contacted very high environmentalists all over the country to try to come to Back River and take a look at that water and see what the heck is going on. But yes. I want to shift to what you were talking about with Maryland leadership, because as you know, the MD-GOP convention is coming up November 22nd to 23rd. And that is where elections are happening for the chair, for the vice chairs. And for our audience, so the chairwoman right now is Nicole Harris. She is running against Dirk Hare to educate our viewers, and you can cut in also, Tim, and educate. So Dirk Hare was the former chairman of the MDGOP for 6 years. He was there for 6 years, and then he resigned. He resigned 2 years ago, and that's why Nicole Harris is the chairperson. But all of a sudden, he wants to come back. Why does he want to come back? Well, he's got a wife, and his wife ran for Anne Arundel County executive. She lost, but it's about power. It's about getting her back in office. And that's one of Dirk Hare's aspirations, is to get his wife as Anne Arundel County executive. And then when Wes Moore is done with his term, then he'll push his wife to run for governor of the state. Is that correct, Tim?
Generally, that's what we believe. Dirk Hare.
That's one of the things. And Dirk Hare, I would say, is Hogan light. Definitely Hogan light.
Yeah. Dirk Hare and Larry Hogan were hand in hand for all those years. And under his leadership and Governor Larry Hogan at the time, Maryland lost more and more seats within their state house and across the state. And we have one elected Republican federally here, and that's Andy Harris, who happens to be the husband of the chairwoman, Nicole Harris. Andy is now the chair of the Freedom Caucus in D.C.
Which is a big honor, by the way. It's a very big honor.
Yes, and it tells you a little bit about generally how Andy views things. And I may not agree everything with Andy or with anyone in particular, but generally Andy is of the mindset of many people who are like myself, that believe in America first and put our freedom and our Constitution before social ploys or whatever the left is dreaming up in any day.
Right.
So you have the last ditch effort of someone like Larry Hogan to try and control the politics in Maryland by watering it down and making it a uniparty still, and by bringing back Dirk Hare. Dirk Hare is probably viewed by many in the local party that he is efficient because he was able to raise money. However, the only money that was really coming into the Republican Party during his tenure was money from corporations that were trying to buy influence because we had a Republican governor at that time. Right. Now we don't have a Republican governor. The money has dried up, and it wasn't that great anyway, even when Hogan was the governor. But now you have the old guard trying to come back in and put their foot back on our platform, in a sense, which is not a conservative platform here in Maryland, and have ties to bring in Hogan still. And it's just stuff that we want to move away from. We've spoken across this nation, and we've spoken in Maryland, at least with the base of the party, to say, hey, Larry Hogan, you have turned on us. You turned on Trump supporters. You put us down. You made us wear masks. You made us not let us go into houses of worship. And we did not vote for Larry Hogan this time around. We said, you have not earned the respect of us, and you work for us. So if you're going to do that, we're going to turn from you. So it's time to turn the page and continue moving away from Larry Hogan and Dirk Hare and any of the shenanigans that may go with Dirk and his family or whatever that happens. It's time that we move forward and we follow good structures like Florida, the Republican Party in Florida, and other states, and we move towards America First agenda here in Maryland, even if it's a losing cause because we're outnumbered, even if we lay the foundation for a successful platform moving forward, and eventually our policies will show to the public here in Maryland that we can be successful if you give us a shot. Because the other states will enact policies under President Trump that will make them great, and Maryland will be continuing to fall, and eventually the electorate will say, let's give it a chance.
Exactly. I agree with you. And I just want to say for the record that Dirk Hare left the MDGOP in tremendous debt. They were a minus $113,000. Now, to Nicole Harris's credit, I know she's tried to pay off the debt, and I think she only has $39,000 left of that debt to pay off. And she, I think, admitted, and you told me last night at your meeting, I think she admitted that the debt will be paid off before the convention. So the MDGP will be debt free, according to her, by the time of the convention. And that's something to note, is that she's been there for 22 months, almost 24 months, and she's doing everything she can to get the MDGOP out of debt. There was also a situation with a woman that was helping to fundraise, and I think she wasn't paid the right amount, or she put her money in and she was supposed to get money back. I don't know the whole situation of that, but apparently she is owed $63,000. Nicole Harris was able to negotiate with the woman. She only has to pay her $50,000. And Nicole Harris and the MDGOP have put a payment plan together to pay this woman $1,000 a month to pay off her debt. But that was Dirk Hare's doing. Dirk Hare is the reason why the MDGOP had to owe this woman $63,000 to begin with. So it's disgusting. And again, and I know that you ran against Nicole Harris. So if you would have won, you would have had to deal with that debt too. And you would have had to deal with, getting our party back on track. What say you about that?
It's a very tough position or a job for anyone to take over the chair position in Maryland as a Republican. And I knew that even when I ran. Somewhat I was somewhat actually glad I didn't get that position. I came second, but I did not want it in a sense because I knew what the challenges were, that this party is not unified in this state. The money issue is severe, that the electorate is just not in our favor. Heck, in Maryland, and we talked about it again last night, the independents are the same amount as the Republicans in terms of registration in this state. And that is because in the past 30, 40 years, the party has moved, let's just say centrist or left. And a lot of the Republicans were like, I'm not cool with that. I'm not cool with what you guys trying to work with the liberal base of the Democrat wing. So they ended up saying, screw the party, and they became independents. You have the numbers in Maryland, but you don't have the party that can bring them all together. So Nicole Harris does have a very tough job, and she's in a tough position. I look and I say I would do things differently, but ultimately she's moving things in the right direction here. And I told her after our election 2 years ago, when she won, I said, I'll do anything I can to help, because this is my party as well. And I want to do what's right for the people. And I don't think that we as a party can afford to move backwards into someone like Dirk Hare and Larry Hogan. We need to continue to move forward, to continue to align ourselves with MAGA principles and bring people into our party. And I'll end this conversation with this one thing. Someone reminded me on social media, I think yesterday, that it isn't about, when we're going to the communities that aren't Republican, they don't like Republicans, they have preconceived notions of what a Republican is. It's not about getting those people to become Republican. It's about getting them to help take over the Republican Party. And if they're bringing their conservative principles, but they don't believe in what it means to be Republican right now, we can take those people, work with them, help reshape our party, and make it into what Donald Trump has done with the Republican Party across this country.
Well, that's a good point that you made, because President Trump is notorious for going across the aisle. He went to the Jewish community. He went to the African-American community, the Hispanic community, communities that would never vote for Donald Trump, the gay community he went to, even the trans community he went to. He crossed the aisle and had that conversation, and they were able to come up with a consensus. Now, I know you very well. You are notorious for doing that. You have gone to the Jewish community, you've gone to the gay community, you've gone to the Black community. You have pulled these minorities to our party, and you've got them to either change parties or vote Republican. And I think that's something that a lot of people that are running for office need to do. Now, as a Central Committee member, your job right now is to recruit candidates, to find proper candidates that can win, but proper candidates that are not afraid, especially because you live in a 2-to-1 Democratic state, that are not afraid to go to cross the aisle and go into those very hardcore liberal areas and pull people to our party. What say you about that?
I think that the distinction is actually not necessarily a liberal area, but a hardcore Democrat area. Right. So when I say a hardcore Democrat area, we go into areas of urban areas in West Baltimore that are, tend to just 95% Black or more. And when you talk to the people there, first of all, if they see you there and you're doing something, they appreciate that. It's a curiosity. What are you doing here? And okay, well, I give you credit for being down here, because they know it's dangerous. They know it's dangerous for people who aren't originally from that community as well. But then when you start talking to them, they will tell you, Black community has been one of the most conservative communities in principle in our history, but they vote Democrat. They're not liberals, but they vote Democrat. And it's because of policies that have been enacted by LBJ and stuff. And over the years, the party has this belief that Republicans are bad and racist. But when you talk to the urban communities and you tell them, look, hey, we will help you help yourselves if you help us take over the party, they open up. That's when they realize, you know what, we're not just joining, how some people might perceive as the white guy party or whatever. We are helping shape it and take it over. They have ownership into it. And we talk about, buying homes instead of just being renters. And it's that belief that when you have ownership, that you end up taking care of it more. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people to have ownership of what it means to be a Republican. Look, Republican Party has changed since the 1860s or whatever, multiple times with their platform and their directions that they go. It can change again, and we've seen it with President Trump changing it from a country club group of people, in a sense, who believe in big business, big pharma, that kind of stuff, to being a more workers' party that believes in more libertarian type views and populist views, and it's about doing what's right for the people. I think we are doing that at a very local level as well across the country, because there's many of us out there that are doing these things, but we're still fighting the uphill battle within our own party, and we need to make sure that we win these battles right now, or in 2 years we might lose the House or Senate again, and then you have a somewhat of a lame duck presidency for 2 more years, and we might lose the presidency, and it'll just go right back. So we need to continue to fight even more now than what we have in the past few years.
So, Tim, you've been notorious for building an army of people, and I've met some incredible people because of you. Kim Stansbury's running for Baltimore County Executive, Rob Daniels, who ran for Baltimore County Judge, and so forth, and Henry Ziskowski. I mean, you just have a great base and a great group of people that you have around your circle. But again, you've given me my second family in Maryland, and that's why I work in Maryland so much. So what is your plan right now to build that army again? Again, as a central committee member, your job is to recruit candidates, proper candidates. I'm a political consultant. That's my job too, is to heavily vet people that can win, number one, that can do the work, but also people that will push President Trump's agenda forward. So how are you going to execute that and do that in a state like Maryland?
When I was elected to my position, I remember, and I never forget, that the reason I was elected was because the people where I live want me to fight the establishment within our own party. And that is the number one thing. And when you go and you get elected and you now are working with other elected officials, you have this sense of, well, I got to work and get along with these people. Well, that's not the case here. That's not what we want. We want to flip things. And when you go and you just say, I'm going to work with these people, and hey, I'm going to sign off on your bill if you sign off on my bill, even though these aren't things that I really support or my people want, that's the downfall of our country. Political factions and parties are divisive, and they put themselves before the country. So my goal has been to continue to represent what my people want, which is take over this party. Do not let this establishment stuff go on. Because look, the average person out there, they know that these things happen with the elected officials, but they don't know it specifically because they're not there. But they know it goes on. Getting into office and seeing some of this stuff firsthand, I'm like, yep, this is the stuff we always thought happens. It could be, hey, it's $25 and they're going to benefit themselves this way, or it could be millions like Pelosi with buying stock in electric vehicles, a few years ago. And these things escalate and they go on because human nature is about getting what's best for you and in your family. So it's an evil and a tough position to be in when you're in these elected positions, because a lot of these people, they will screw you to take care of themselves first. But my goal is to continue to bring in people who think like us, or think like myself at least, and say, hey, I'm going in there to represent the people. I don't really want to be in this position, but I'm doing it because it's my civic responsibility. And I'm going to get in there, I'm going to shake up stuff, and I'm going to make enemies because I'm not there to get along. And that is what I've been trying to find in people across the nation. And we've worked with everybody from California to Maine to Florida to help push this message across. So locally in Maryland, yes, I continue to recruit people, whether they're Republicans or something else. There's libertarians, independents, some Democrats, working with them to say it doesn't matter about what party. It kind of does, but in this situation, it doesn't matter what party you're in. It matters that my cat is about to walk by, and then it matters that you do what's right for your community and your country first. So we have built an army of people. It's probably not enough in a state like Maryland, but it continues to grow and it snowballs. And that's why, we're going to flip things here in Maryland eventually. And it's good to see it. I'm hoping that Maryland will go red one day before I'm dead. But, that's going to be a very, very long, arduous task to see forth, but we will turn red one day.
Well, I was going to say, now that President Trump has won, it gives the conservative voices a chance to rise. And again, President Trump said, no more rhinos, no more never Trumpers, no more snowflakers. And people need to acknowledge that President Trump is the head of the Republican Party. Whether you like him or not, whether you love him or not, he is the head of the Republican Party. Again, we the people voted for that. We the people voted for the MAGA movement, the America First agenda. That's what we the people want. So for any rhino or never Trumper or snowflaker in your area to shut your voice down is ridiculous and asinine, because you as a conservative, you have the biggest voice right now. And in my opinion, people should be listening to you, conservatives like you, because your voice right now is bigger than anybody's. What say you about that?
So when I ran for Congress in 2020, I met another, let's just say, conservative person who was running against me at the time, elected official as well. And he said something to me, which I think everybody should really think about this, and this will determine how you can help recruit people. He said to me, Tim, it doesn't matter if these people don't vote for you. All that matters is you get 50 plus 1. And when I really started to think about it, I understood about building my own base and not worrying about, going after and trying to convert somebody who believes a certain way, like an establishment Republican, to get them to see it my way, because they're going to lose things and they don't want to lose things. But in order to get people to be on your side, to win an argument, you need to have two winners, myself and the other person. And by getting people who aren't already established, like rhinos in a sense, or the very far left, if you can get somebody who believes that they're winning by also joining your cause, say we talked about the urban community, by saying, hey, look, we want to help you help yourself, and we want you to help shape our party. We're both winning. Those are the types of people that we can build our base around. Screw the rhinos, screw that establishment, let them go, let them join the Democrats, let them do something. You can bring a lot of Democrats in who do believe in America, and they do believe in conservative values. You can shape your party just the way President Trump did, because he brought in people that never voted before in 2016. He brought in people in 2024 now that are just like, they voted for the first time, the under 30 group, people that are watching podcasts, and shows like this that say, you know what, I don't get my news from ABC like my grandparents did or do, but they're learning something now. Outsmart them. Don't worry about trying to change your own party's elites, in a sense. Build your own base and then take over the party. I'll say this, someone like AOC had that mindset. Now, she had a lot of backing with Soros and things like that, but she built a base around her cult of personality and then helped push her movement. Movement that I don't agree with. I think it's very flawed, and I don't think she's very bright as a person, but she had that momentum by doing that. And now you have that schism in the left with the Democrats, with the progressives and the blue dogs, we'll say. And now she's fighting for the power of that party. And let her have it, because I think it'll just continue to destroy themselves. But that's what we need to do in our Republican Party as well. Screw the rhinos, screw the establishment, build that own base, bring in people who don't necessarily care about politics as much, but do believe in certain things that we do. And now you can take over the party.
I was going to say to him, you are a rising star in the Republican Party of Maryland. There is not a day that goes by that people message me and say, how's Tim doing? What's he doing? What's he running for? Like, it's like your name is in people's brains, which is awesome. And you should be very flattered by that. And of course, I always ask, what are you planning on running for in a couple of years? I hope that you're not done, Mr. Fazenbaker. I hope that you're going to be running for higher office. And of course, you don't have to say, but I know that the people in your party are looking for a leader. And I believe, and I've said this before, that you will, mark my words, you will definitely be in the halls of Congress one day.
I appreciate it. I'll announce it here first. I'm going to run for president of the United States of America. Not. No.
What year?
2094.
There you go.
I am contemplating different positions, but ultimately, like you'll hear other political figures say, depends on what the people want. I mean, like I said, I don't love being in the position I'm in, but I do it because I'm doing it for my family and my community, and I have the voice and the microphone enough that I can do it and be successful. So if the people ask me to go a certain route, those are things I will consider. But I will continue to fight no matter what. And I will continue to get the rhinos and establishment in this party gone so that we can rebuild the Republican Party and actually have a winning chance in this state.
Awesome. We just have a couple minutes left. Tim, how can my viewers follow you?
TimFazenmaker.com. I know it's a long name. Just put in Tim Faze, F-A-Z-E. I'll pop up right away. I'm on Twitter, on Facebook. I actually opened a TikTok the other day for the first time. I don't really know anything about it, but I had to do it to find other videos. So it's quite interesting. I'm on all the things there as well. You can call me, you can email me. I do talk to random people. I don't say random, but I do talk to people that aren't even in my district a lot. They see my phone number, they call. I'll have a conversation with you. I'll try to help you any way I can. Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. And I'm very approachable because honestly, this isn't my career. This is my civic duty and responsibility and the way I can give back to the community that's been great to me in my entire life. And you know what? If it weren't for people like that before, we wouldn't even be here today. So I think about, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and those guys and John Adams, what they kind of gave up in order to form a country, to be able to give to other people and let them have the decision on how they move forward. They sacrifice much more than myself. So, if I can just do this, that's the least I can do for our country.
Well, thank you so much for being on. This has been an incredible hour. I'm going to keep you on until the end. Don't forget, everyone, to like and subscribe. Please go to timfazenmaker.com. You can follow him on Instagram at Tim Faze. His X handle is at America1TimFaze. And don't forget, again, you can always email him, tim@timfazenmaker.com. But please like and subscribe to Patriots Prayer. We're also on Rumble at the Patriots Prayer Network. And also you can follow me on X at Alexandra, LEVI20, on Facebook, Alexandra Levine, on True Social at ARLevine85, and also on YouTube at Levine Consulting. As I said before, I am a political consultant. I and Mr. Fazenbaker and I were in the process of recruiting proper candidates. You can always go to my website, levineconsulting.co. That's levineconsulting.co. There it is right there. And again, everybody, thank you so much for watching us. And the reason you listen and the reason you watch is you are no idiot.